awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, beautiful.
I won't. First off, Brooklyn, feel better. Sending all the good vibes out to Brooklyn. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous to talk to her because she scared me so bad in the film. We'll talk
Yeah.
about 25 minutes. I've got questions for all of you. If you have any questions for me, just feel free. And Chad already knows because we spoke last week. It's really just, it's just a nice chin wag, just a nice conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Great.
Sean's easy to talk to.
No gotcha questions. There'll be no, there'll be no
he's
math.
Not going to rake you
No
over the
matter.
coals.
Right, you guys. Where are you, Sean? Are you in Toronto?
I'm in New York.
Oh, New York. Oh, okay, cool. Right on.
Yeah, I'm down here in New York. So please do me a favor. I was telling Chad last week, keep a door or a window open for me in case I have to escape anytime soon to Canada.
Oh. Yeah.
So I'll just start first and foremost. Juno, Ellie, I hope Chad hasn't spoiled it, but I think I already have. You can tell by my expression. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I
Great.
loved it. I know we're only in April, but it is easily going to be on my top 10 of best of 2025.
Oh.
It's certainly this and The Rule of Jenny Penn are the number one and number two best horror movies of 2025 so far this year.
Oh,
Awesome.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got good company and vice versa. They've got great company as well. You know, I told Chad my process that when I review a film, I've got my pad and I get to work and I block out all the distractions and I start taking notes. Okay, you know what? That beat was great. This performance is really coming through. Or the polar opposite. And I about 10, 15 minutes in and I put it down because this has not happened often where I just say, oh, I'm onto something. I'm onto something here. This is going to be one of those films, and I just put everything down and I just watched it just to get the full experience. Then I went back and I watched it again so I could take all my notes and I can, hopefully make some sense when I speak to all of you. But this movie just, I'm going to sound like a fanboy, but it really did rock me. It was
Aw,
so good.
that's awesome.
You love
That's
to hear it,
always
man.
nice when you can just get immersed in it and sit and watch and take it in.
Well, it was just layered, and I'll cop to it. Horror films can be, and you know this, they can be one note. That note can be fantastic, but they could be one note. You're going for the kills, you're going for a certain vibe. And it was after the scene with Larry, and then when the stakes were introduced, when Ashmore and his daughter come in, and then we kind of get what the film is going to be about, or at least the catalyst that propels it forward. I said, "Oh boy, okay, we're onto something here," because Chad cuts back to Larry, who's sipping his tea.
I love that. That made me laugh so much. Good.
It's like, oh, okay, Chad knows what he's doing, and he's going to pull out the stops. And then Agatha gets introduced, and forget it. I've got questions for you, but Ellie, I want to start with you. Do me a favor, just tell me a little bit about the dynamic of, the mother-daughter dynamic of the film really is the core. It's the heart of what it's all about. The stakes that are introduced put that relationship in peril. You, young lady, do some things. As a father, I was furious about. But you have very real reactions to it. I mean, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I don't want to spoil anything, this will be a spoiler-free conversation, is that you actually put yourself in a lot of imminent danger, and there's this fantastic moment where you literally say out loud, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Yeah.
Real. So tell me about that relationship. How did you build it up?
Yeah, I think, so Ashley and Chad and I had sat down to talk a little bit before we started shooting, and that was helpful because I got some of Ashley's perspective. It felt honestly, like, because I had read the script through about a billion times up until that moment, so it felt like a little bit of therapy already with Ashley being like, "Well, this is my character's perspective," and I'm like, "Well, this is mine," So we kind of had that from the jump, which was helpful. And yeah, I think Ashley is so talented, and Ashley has a daughter who I think how old was she, Chad, when
I think
you saw it?
about 8 months. So
Yeah, so she was like a baby.
yeah. We flew
So
the whole family out.
yeah, yeah, it was great. And so Ashley had her daughter with her, and I think that especially when you're a new mother, I'm sure that feels like the most terrifying thing in the world. That's what my mom always says, anyways. So I think that kind of it was a it was magnified by that. So we were able to really just connect and then not connect when necessary to kind of get that tension where it's like, you don't understand me, mom. And like, what the are you doing with, so it all worked out really well. Ashley's wonderful. So I think it was very natural on the days. It just kind of came easier than I anticipated, which was great.
I think it's her best role, honestly. I really do.
Oh,
You
wow.
all, you all kill it in this movie. So let me get that out of the way first and foremost. Everybody brings their A game. Sean Ashmore, again, I really have to bite my tongue not to spoil anything, but he's
Yeah.
so lucky he's not on this call right now. Everybody does great. The chemistry that you and Ashley have, being a parent, I mean, it felt very real and it felt very lived in. So it just really pops off the screen. And then Juno, you're introduced and you pop up. Ellie, you had this conversation with Juno. Juno, you kind of lay some of the breadcrumbs down to propel the story forward, and I thought that was the last we were going to see of you. And I was like, well, this is a nice character. I wish she would come back. And then when you did, I was like, oh, wait a minute, Chad, what are you doing here, man? I'm on to you now. Chad already knows this. I am ready for a Juno universe. So we
Yep.
can follow Agatha. I want you in a haunted Scottish castle. I want you on a cruise ship with a werewolf. I want all of the Agatha. All right.
I want it too. There you go. It's really hilarious
Fun.
settings. Yeah.
It's so much fun for a viewer, and I want to get your perspective in a moment. It's so much fun for a viewer when you see a character and you become attached to that character, and then that character has its own, and it's not one of the main protagonists, but they have their own journey through the film. And I mean, you are the comedy, you're the audience conduit to the what is going on here.
Totally. That's what Sean said yesterday. And I was like, I hadn't really thought about that, but because you're just doing your character, you're just in your role. But he was like, we're sort of watching the movie alongside you going, what the hell are we doing here? Yeah.
And is everything going to be okay? And I would just watch your wide eyes, and I'm like, I'm unsure that anything is going to be okay. When you read the script, I'm so curious, were all of the Agatha scenes there, or did it develop as it went along?
I believe they were all there. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just got two. I remember doing two scenes, I think, for my audition. And then when I was cast, then the whole thing was already in play, all of it.
Yeah, there was a couple little moments that we jumped on. Honestly, it's like after shooting a bunch of scenes, and really seeing Juno's performance and really kind of figuring out who Agatha was. Or I guess even, as a director, like watching and seeing the performance and seeing it's like, oh man, these are working so well. And what Juno's bringing to the table, because also it's like, we had the lines, but, then Juno would throw in something here and there, or just even performance or a nuance of expression or whatever. And it was just so lovable and awesome. And it was like, I had a hard time not being like, okay, Juno, let's do this and this and this. Oh man, that would be so funny, because it's like, okay, well, Cynthia's crying over here. It's like, we can't be throwing in jokes, but man, that'd be funny. But we did throw in a couple extra ones. I think there was a little moment. It's like right after a character gets buried, and it's like a very dreadful moment where it's like, oh my God, that just happened. And then it cuts to Juno and she's like, I think we should just stay positive. There's like a couple little things like that like we added just.
That was you, Chad. That wasn't me. You were like riding that wave. We were riding the wave together, and you're like, why don't you say this? And I was like, yeah, that's perfect. That kind of thing. Right.
But this is what I'm talking about. This is how well done the movie is and how strong the script is. Because Agatha leading the police away as a distraction is one of my favorite things that I've seen this year. I am absolutely going to rewatch it. But you have this story that is terrifying on multiple levels.
Yeah.
And then you infuse it with little bits of humor that feel real. I mean, real life can be sometimes it's like, ha ha, I'm laughing so I won't start crying. But it's infused within our daily lives.
Yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom all the time, even when it is all doom and gloom. So I appreciated that. I have to ask my two actors, are you horror fans? Because here you are, part of this incredible horror movie that is going to kill in 2025, and it's going to be a moment. I mean, this is going to end up on a lot of top 10 lists. It feeds absolutely will. Were you horror fans going into this?
Ellie, you go.
Well, I think for me, I kind of grew up doing, like, I always loved horror as an actor. I
Mhm.
feel that it is the most, you can get the most physical and visceral with it. So I love that. I think as a consumer, I I can't. I'm very skittery. Like I get absolutely terrified. So even watching It Feeds, I know what's gonna happen and I'm still like, oh my God. Like I can't, I just can't. But I really appreciate it as an art form. I went to film school and like one of my favorite classes was just the art of horror. And we
Mm.
watched, every Thursday, 7 a.m., you're sitting watching like The Exorcist. And my professor would be like, okay, Ellie, we actually can't watch it if you keep jumping and screaming. So everyone is trying to tune into this. Anyways, so as a, I enjoy it as an actor. I enjoy it as somebody who loves film. And I am still absolutely terrified every time. So.
Okay. And now what about you, Juno?
I'm not a horror fan at all. This is my first horror that I've ever done. I've never done this
Oh.
genre at all, and I'm just sort of like saying to my husband last night, I'm like, this is a world that this is a world, and I'm so excited to sort of start to, be a part of it and curious about it and the people involved in it. But no, I'm a sensitive little empath. I can't do horror. But and I was watching it feeds like this, like 3 days
Yeah.
ago, like terrified. And again, Ellie, the same thing. I know exactly what's going to happen, but it was like those jump scares or like, you being trapped. Oh, I can't say things. All the things.
Well, we'll
Uh,
cut that. We'll cut that in post.
yeah, all the things are like terrifying. They're terrifying. So I appreciate the art form, kind of like what Ellie was saying, but I don't search it out. The funny thing is though, is my husband knows all about this stuff. I'm like, did you know this? Did you know this? He's like, So it's funny where our worlds are kind of coming together in that one. No.
I love it. You're like the person that discovers like punk rock for the first time, and you're like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
exactly.
have you heard of the Clash?" And people are like,
Yeah, exactly.
reporting it. But I love that. There's, Chad said it last week. Horror brings people together, and it's for everybody,
Mm,
regardless. I
mm.
am getting a kick out of both of you not being the horror fans at all because I am convinced I'm talking to two future scream queens. You're gonna start getting scripts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a different way. Even Chad was giving me like different direction on how to perform um in this horror world. Like there is a bit of an adjustment that I wasn't used to that, like, and I guess if you think about it, like comedy is a different way of doing, drama, all the things. So this was, yeah, there was a couple of little tweaks that I had to make to do the performance to fit in the horror world, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, well, so you would never know that you hadn't done 20 films previously because it's
Yeah.
seamless.
Yeah.
You brought up
Yeah.
something that I wanted to ask you about the physicality of the role. Your role is incredibly physical. What kind of prep did you do to get ready for it?
Um, well, I think I didn't really fully, I mean, I've been acting since I was a kid, but I still consider myself very green and like I'm learning something every day. So I don't think I really fully deeped what I was getting into. And then I was just kind of like, oh wow, I'm coming home really tired every
You
day.
are
Like, what's
tired.
that
Yeah.
about? You know? So I kind of had to learn to start taking care of myself maybe halfway through. So that's my big lesson from this one. And I think it was the safest environment for me to possibly do that. So I'm happy that it happened here. Um, yeah, but I mean, you can't, like, it's just when do you get the opportunity to put your whole being through something so intense. Like even, we were talking about scream queens. Like when do we in our lives get to just go like ah, and do a full on scream?
Yeah.
Like never. And it's so freeing when you can do things like that. And it's one of I think the best perks of the job is that you kind of get put into these situations that you never would otherwise. So I was just grateful every day that we were doing something so unique and fun and yeah, I just had a blast. So I don't think I really realized because I was just having a great time.
Yeah.
That
There was
probably.
actually a couple moments there too, where I remember us chatting on set where, and I mean, spoiler, whatever, but I feel like we danced around it a couple times, but at some point, Jordan gets buried in a casket. So, at,
It's not the final 5 minutes, people. So
yeah,
we'll just put
yeah,
that
we're
out.
halfway through here. No, so and there to do that scene, we had to do it in kind of like three different sections. We were like in the forest where we dug a hole and had to bring Jordan out in a casket, so already in a tight space above ground. And then we went and we had to shoot another section of it of Jordan in the casket, which was basically a casket that had removable sides. And we had to shoot it fast. And it was
Yeah.
like, lunch was coming up. We had like
Yeah.
really, I don't know if you remember this, Ellie, but like every shot of you in that casket was one take. Like we rolled the camera and we were like, we have to go through every
Oh
moment
yes.
here because we got like 4.5 minutes before lunch. And that's how the entire shoot was. Like everything, we were trying to do so much in such a little time that it was like, okay, you're asleep. Okay, you've got to be shaking. Truck's moving. All right, now you're getting bumped through. You're getting carried over. Now they just dropped you. We need a little bump there. Okay, all right. Now you're going to slowly wake up. You got to pull this off. You got to do that. Now this. Now the casket. Anyways, we went through all of it so quickly. I'm amazed at how well it turned out. And also in that, it was like, it was also going from now you're asleep right up to the point of being like, you're getting buried and screaming at the top of your lungs. So, I mean, good job on that because it was, and then not only that, to do the other part of it, like we basically had to create this grave site with this kind of cigarette box style, like contraption, and then Ellie would have to go in that, and we'd have to wheel her in, and then put cast on top of her, digging. On it. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it.
The ingenuity that went into this shoot is insane. It's absolutely incredible. And we have spoken about some of the tricks that were employed to get these shots, and then multiple shots going on at once because you're working against that time frame. And just to have all of that done and then produce this phenomenal movie, I just this is for all of you. Chad knows this because he works in horror. I know this because I write in horror. I think that I'm a lovable person. I know Chad is. Look at that sweet man. So when we tell people that, oh yeah, we love horror, their first reaction is, "What's wrong with you?" So
Yeah.
prepare yourselves for that.
Right.
Both of you. I think that, Ellie, to your point, horror can be so cathartic because you leave it in a dark room. Whether you're shooting it and you're actually doing these scenes or you're watching it, you just have this moment where you do get to do that primal scream, whether it's actually out loud or whether you're seeing it on the silver screen and it's just freaking you out. You get to leave a darkened theater, and most times you're heading out into the sunlight and you're like, I feel better. Horror people can be some of the sweetest on the planet
Oh
because
my God, they're truly the best people in the world.
Yeah.
You go to a horror convention and there's not an ego in the building.
those
Oh.
rom-com
It's
people you
some
gotta
of the
look out
most.
for. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say that you've all constructed this incredible universe. I'll just leave it there because I want people to go in and experience this film with all the stakes intact. I'm hoping that there's more in this universe because I think you've all done such an incredible job of developing it. I don't know who lives or dies, and I'm not going to say. But there's so much intricate craft in the acting, in the directing, in the writing, that I really do hope that we get to go back to this universe that you've all created because it's frightening as hell, but it's so fascinating. The the point I'm trying to make is that, we jump between the real world and a dream world.
Mhm.
From an actor's perspective, and Juno, I mean, I know that you're in the real world, you're grounded in the real world, but Ellie, you do flip back and forth. And we've mentioned A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think there's probably going to be some comparisons to like the Upside Down and Stranger Things.
Oh yeah.
From an actor's perspective, though, how do you wrap your head around what's your process of like, okay, I need to tether the real and the imaginary, like the upside down world, this fantasy world that we created. How do you keep these things straight in your mind, and how do you add those emotional beats for both of them? I mean, is it just doing a scene, or do you actually have to plot it out in your head?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think
Well, it took
um
forever for me to say it, so I'm glad you said it.
no, totally. I think for the scenes where we're kind of going into this dream world, a lot of it um I don't I think a lot of it would be I would place it more as a kind of going back in, it's not a flashback, but almost going back to, because a lot of it is about your fears and, the tagline being it's worse if you're afraid. I would almost put it in my brain as going back to being a child and feeling like you were just going back to that kind of, I'm going to use the word primal again, but you know you're unconscious before you've started to rationalize things or think things through too hard, just kind of trying to go back to what are the primal feelings here, and what is the primal fear, and then playing that out from the perspective of the character as you know them to develop to be in the real timeline. That's an overcomplicated answer to like, and all I'm trying to say is that I would go back to this kind of idea of the inner child,
Mm.
and that's where I found a lot of the dream world stuff, because I think that's what our subconscious or unconscious mind really is. And we talk about, well, that is at the core of the film, is this kind of idea that you have to go back. You have to, you can't run away from what you're running from. You have to face it. And I think a lot of that for most people comes from childhood. So that's where I ended up psychologically, and I think I just tried to rely on that and let it be kind of mystical in terms of actual A plot, B plot, C, like actual chronology. And that made the most sense to me. I'm hoping that will make more sense to people when they actually watch the film, because right now it seems long-winded and
Yeah.
insane.
And I mean, it was interesting working with you, especially. I mean, I think with all these inner mind segments, like your character specifically had the most to deal with, because, well, one, we do see you as a child, and I think there's this idea that she as a child had gone through this horrific experience and went up to this attic and found something that traumatized her forever. And being able to, I was there shooting the scenes with the young version of Jordan, and then also going in and shooting the scenes with the older version of Jordan. And, I think you did a great job at kind of like blending it in a way, because you also, you find it tricky doing scenes like this, where you're kind of like, where is the characters? Like, where are they mentally in this? Are they a child in an adult body going through that moment as a child? Or are they themselves knowing that, they're going through this therapeutic process and they're just in an environment that they were in as a child, if that makes sense? So, I mean, I think, Ellie, you did such a great job at kind of like making the audience feel like they're still connected with you.
Oh, very much.
And knowing kind of where you are in this story. And kind of going through this experience as it's like you are an adult kind of reliving your childhood trauma and kind of just going through this process of going through this house and finding this horrible thing that is always, never been able to leave you.
Yeah.
And I was always curious how much that would read, even, from the script stage to the edit to everything. And I mean, I think, that was one of the questions that I've always asked is like, what happened to Ellie and what happened to Jordan? What happened to her family? What's up? And I mean, luckily everyone's been able to answer and it's been nice and clear. And yeah, great job.
You build this beautifully though with the cold open with Larry and and the scenes in the school corridors, and leading up to the gym teacher that you're kind of foreshadowing. Look, you got to unpack your trauma. It's just always going to be there. You've got to go in and deal with it at some point. So well done. Another.
I always wanted to know. I always wanted to know what Agatha's inner mind session
I
was.
was thinking that too.
And I feel like we've had so much fun thinking about it.
Me too.
It's also so sad because it's like there's a big part of me, and I wanted to do this with Agatha's character as well, where you're like, oh my god, if somebody makes this woman cry, I will kill them. It's probably it's the saddest thing I could think of in this entire movie. Is like whoever put Agatha through this trauma.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're going after them.
Guns out. We're done. Yeah. We don't want Larry coming or Sean coming after whoever that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll let you in on a secret. All three of you could take me easily. Your journey, your arc through the film, though. I mean, you kind of are at the periphery in the beginning, and then you get heavily involved in the stakes. So, from an actor's journey, as your story goes along, the consequences get bigger and bigger and bigger. So how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, Agatha, like, I feel like she's just sort of she's on the journey with going through the motions. And I think there's a real big piece of her that just really feels like she doesn't know where she belongs, or does she have a friend? Like she has that moment, right? So to be involved and to be trusted and to be on this journey with Ashley and her and Cynthia and her character about finding her daughter, like this whole very, very big thing, and to be trusted with that is such a gift for Agatha. She feels very seen and probably hasn't felt like that in a very, very long time. I also marveled at how Chad was able to strike the tone with the comedy, because that's such a very tricky comedy is very complicated anyway, and to put it into this kind of context, I was like, I hope that, like, I don't know, like, am I like a big wackadoo? How is this going to work, right? In this very, very sensitive and terrifying environment. But how Chad was able to find that balance was just perfect. It felt like the times that Agatha came forward to have a little bit of a comic relief was what we needed at that time, but it never took over and really derailed us from the intention and what was really important about the movie. So I loved it. I thought it was such an experience, and working with Ashley was just, she's so committed, one of the most committed actors I've ever worked with, and I loved watching her work, and I loved being in partnership with her in a, as I was sort of the soft side or the comic side, was able to, crack her up a few times off camera and that kind of thing. It was a really lovely dynamic. We're very different people, very different, like, physically, all the things, but I think we worked really well as a duo. Yeah, it was cool.
This is my favorite part, when I have a director and the actors together for a conversation. Ellie, Juno, what's it like to work with Chad?
Oh man.
It's okay.
Didn't I
I had a
just
feeling I
Guys.
knew the answer.
No, I mean, I was saying earlier that I think usually part of what I always find myself doing as an actor is just saying, like, I'll build a backstory that doesn't really mean anything to anyone except myself. So it's like, okay, her favorite color is this, and like this is what she gets at Starbucks, and I'll sit and, like, come up with all these details that only exist in my brain. But working with Chad was different because, Chad does know Jordan's favorite color, and Chad has thought about all these things and absolutely is in the details, like the trenches of the details with you. So that was very different than anything that I'd experienced before. And it was helpful because I think it makes you feel a little bit more confident in your choices. And I guess just that you're a little less crazy for caring about the details. So yeah, it's great.
I really marveled too at how Chad held the space for everyone because it was, I don't even know how many days, very, very short shoot. And not very, very short, but like a lot was packed into how much we did in those days. And Sean and I were talking about this yesterday. Never once did I feel like we're going off the rails. Never once did I feel like I've been in situations where the creativity gets shut down because there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on that can really sort of influence the performance. But there was a whole bunch of stuff going on and we were moving quickly, but I never felt like that performance was ever being compromised. And that as an actor, that's like that's gold. That's what you want. You know, you want to feel like you're in a safe environment where you're able to bring the best of yourself to the project. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
We hit it well because I definitely, there's definitely days in my head where I'm like, it's going off the rails. But
You
yeah,
did it,
Hold it together.
I think as well. I'm like, I can go off the rails with the producers and all that. But I mean, whenever it comes to cast, it's that's why we're all there. I mean, that's what we love to do too. I feel like the lucky one. I feel like I should just be giving all the compliments to them because I got to go and make this story that I wanted to tell, but working with everyone and just their flexibility with this crazy schedule. And, I said it yesterday, there was definitely times where it's like we had to rearrange the schedule. And because, we're in someone's mind and out of someone's mind and here and then you're shooting everything like there's so many different locations. So it's like you're in a location, you're jumping between scenes and kind of block shooting a bunch of stuff. It gets tricky to wrap your head around where we are in the story and like
Great, yeah.
and just kind of like zipping through some of that stuff, and especially when you have to do it quickly, it's like I remember us doing car scenes where we're just like, okay, now next scene, you know what, we're just going to do all the scenes as one scene. I'll let you guys fill in the blanks in between. We got no time, let's go. All right. So being able to just have the flexibility with the whole cast. I don't remember anyone getting, frustrated or anything, which is great. And I mean, I know when things do move quickly, there's a lot of times where, everybody wants to perform the best they can. And if they don't feel like they, have the room to do that, it gets frustrating. So anyways, I just feel very, very lucky that everyone came together on this and we got to make this cool movie. And I don't know. I don't deal with compliments well.
We're getting that in real time, Chad. No. Well, you should all know that you made an incredible movie. It's going to, it's going to continue on. It really is. It's going to have a legacy. I hope we get more of it. I really do. So I'm putting that out there into the ether. Macabre Daily is going to support It Feeds. The review will be a love letter. You've all earned it. How else can we best support you? The release is coming up. The Canadian release is coming up. The stateside release is coming up. We'll get the word out there. But what projects do you have coming up? Doesn't have to be horror related. How can we best support you?
You guys go first.
Yeah, please.
Go,
Ellie,
Ellie.
what do you have next? And then Juno, what do you have?
Sure.
I'm living on a prayer, right? I mean, I'm just
I think we all are, Ellie.
I think it's always important to support those kind of, the indie films that we all really have to put those blood, sweat, and tears into. So I'm excited for this to come out and for people to, any way that people can find to watch it, I think is that's help enough. So, I mean, other than that, I'm kind of like in my other show that I do on, which is like a Netflix, like very teenage drama show. I'm the Agatha of the show, which is fun. It's just kind of like the conduit for the audience. So, I think it's cool that this is so different and such a different tone. So, yeah, prayers are appreciated. Thanks.
All right. You're done.
I just moved my entire family from Toronto to LA. So we're living now in LA. We've been here for a couple of months. And I'm living here and auditioning and just sort of getting my feet getting settled here in LA and exploring a new sort of chapter of my career, which is really exciting for me. And I'm really excited to see it come out and see how the community, the horror community feels about it and just be on the ride with them because like I said earlier, this is such a new experience for me and it's such a gift being an actor because you get to, experience so many different things. I'm 47 and now I'm in a horror movie. Like it's very exciting. So I can't wait to see how everybody responds to it and yeah, I'm in a new chapter, so that's exciting.
You're both about to get swamped with horror scripts, so I'm excited.
Well, bring it on, girl, bring it on.
Chad, I know, look, I've already picked your brain. I'm attached to you like a barnacle, so I will be there for everything that you have going forward. You've earned it. You're one of the most exciting filmmakers out there and producers and writers. So anything you do, you've got my set of eyes on it.
Unbug it.
I want to point something out before I say goodbye to y'all. This is also a fantastic, and I hope it's not weird coming from a middle-aged man, but this is a really strong female-driven film with incredibly strong women.
Totally.
Which, horror, the one of the downsides of horror, as much as we like to build up women, we'd like to murder them in horrific ways as well. So there's some misogyny involved in that, rightfully so. This movie, I just love the female dynamic.
Great point.
Yeah.
So I think it's different in that it's a movie about warrior women, really.
Yes.
And
Very much so.
it was very refreshing to read and to get to feel that within myself. And I hope that that's something that translates to the screen that maybe other women can find within themselves. So,
yeah.
Well, and so much of that was them, they just, their dynamics and hard work on set. And yeah, truly, like you said, it's like actually literally becoming warrior women by the end.
It shows. Yeah. It shows. It leaps off the screen. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I can't thank you enough. I will ring the bell for this film until people are already sick of me, but until they get sick of it.
Thanks so much, Sean. We appreciate it.
Have a great day. Take care.
Great to meet you. Bye.
Good to meet you all too.